place. Okay, awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the New Jersey Self-Advocacy Project Stay Healthy at Home webinar series. My name is Ashley Ritchie, and I am the director of the New Jersey Self-Advocacy Project, which is a program of the ARC of New Jersey. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. This series was launched in April of 2020 as a means of staying connected while apart and maintaining a continuous stream of resources and information for the members and supporters of the largest self-advocacy organization here in New Jersey, the New Jersey Statewide Self-Advocacy Network. I'm super happy to be joined by a fantastic guest presenter today, but first I do need to share a couple pieces of information. Closed captioning is enabled. If you want to turn off closed captioning, you can just hit the CC button at the bottom of your Zoom screen. So it should read CC live transcript. You can turn that off if you would like. If you have any questions or comments throughout today's webinar, please use the chat box located on your Zoom toolbar. A member of our team is monitoring the chat box, so if your question is not answered during the webinar today, we will do our best to get back to you with a response within 24 hours. So now I will introduce our guest presenter, who in some circles, most circles, does not need any introduction. It is Paul Kring. Paul is the Director of Training and Compliance at the ARC of Union County. He is also the 2018 New Jersey Statewide Self-Advocacy Network's Advisor of the Year. He serves as advisor to the ARC Arrow Self-Advocacy Group, the local group with the ARC of Union County, and has previously served as Assistant Director of Training and Staff Development, Director of Residential Services, Lead Agency Trainer, Direct Support Professional, and has been a certified instructor for American Red Cross, Elwyn Crisis Management, TheraApp's electronic record system, and the Crisis Prevention Intervention curriculum. Paul has done it all and continues to be an amazing ally and supporter of self-advocacy. So thank you for being here today. And without further ado, I will turn it over to you, Paul.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, and good afternoon, everyone. Happy May. We are now blessed with a lovely spring day, which I think should have been here a little sooner, but we'll take it nonetheless. Please feel free, as Ashley mentioned, to type in any questions or comments in the chat, and we'll be sure to address it along the way. Right now, I'm sharing my screen with you, and anyone in the audience who happens to be direct support professionals thinking, how is this CPR training? Well, it's not really a reminder for you to update your CPR training, even though I am a certified CPR instructor. I developed this session today with all of us in mind. Who are all those people in that group? Well, the DSPs are direct support professionals, but also many of our individuals who have been part of our community and our agencies for many years. In the past 2 years or so, we've done a lot of virtual type of, platforms, trainings and meetings. I've met a lot of new people, as I normally would in person. And a lot of the questions, or really the main questions I get from a lot of new folks who are joining the field, ask me, what are some tips? How can I do my job better, Paul? What do I need to do? I really want to learn. And I'll say, well, make sure you practice your CPR. And they'll say, well, I'm scheduled to take that next month. And that's where I pause and I ask them, do you have a minute? So allow me to open the door to you to that minute, if you will, which is a little longer, but we'll address all those things in CPR that we're talking about, and not just the American Red Cross type, not just the American Heart Association type, but something that we all probably have seen in our travels, in our personal lives, but also at work. So CPR, providing services with courtesy, professionalism, and respect. All words we have heard. So how do those elements fit into our everyday, work life, our everyday interactions with whom we deal with? So let's take our time going through this, shall we? Courtesy, the definition of courtesy, polite behavior that shows respect for other people. Respect. Okay. Again, nothing new to anyone who's listening to me. Respect is something that has been, instilled in us, taught to us for many, many years. And for many of us, we're also passing that down in our everyday interactions, not just our families, not our sons and daughters or nieces and nephews, but also the people that we see every day. We talk about family and respect. Sure, that's where we probably learned it, and that's where the foundation is established. But we carry that all through life, and we share it. Sometimes it's a difficult thing. It's a delicate balance for sure, but it is a foundation in many of the relationships that we have, whether they be personal or professional. I chose this photo that you're looking at here, not just because it's colorful, but, the thought that goes into it. Yes, you're looking at someone who is sharing a flower with another individual, but the thought behind each side, the giver, what is he or she thinking? What's the reason for sharing this flower, giving it to that person? The receiver, what are they thinking? What are their emotions? What is it that they feel? And I think even though it's just two people and just a nice little symbol, it just definitely to me shows that there is a courtesy, that someone is thinking about another person. And perhaps that receiver in turn is going to pay it forward. And that's what we really hope for, is the fact that, we share respect and we give respect. And a lot of what we do is, in fact, based upon respect. So let's start with that. And that is our definition: polite behavior that shows respect for other people. Courtesy is part of the mission. So excuse my choice of pictures here. Many of you are going to look at this and say, well, Paul, that's not the accurate picture or image of the Mission Impossible I know. I know many of you are very familiar with our friend Tom Cruise from Top Gun, but as a child, I remember watching this Mission Impossible with the original cast back in the days. But why did I choose this? I was always very curious about the word mission. It sounds something that's a top secret thing, it's a government mission, it's a mission and we're going to, save someone. But no matter what agency you are part of, work for, or involved with, we all have missions. We have a mission, and it is most likely posted somewhere in some program or an administrative office somewhere as part of that agency type of philosophy. So what is the mission, and what do I mean by other agencies? If you are familiar with other agencies, you know this. I myself, aside from the ARC of Union County, where I am now, I've worked at 3 other agencies in my career. And I do recall even taking some trainings specifically dealing with the mission of the agency. So as we move along with mission, it's not Mission Impossible like the show or the movie explains. Our mission is possible. As I'm talking, what you're looking at on my screen are actual excerpts from missions from various mission statements from various agencies in New Jersey. Not all of them are ARCs, as I am part of an ARC, but 2 of them are from ARCs, and one is not an ARC agency. But if we compare the 3, you will see that there are some common values within, right? Some of the things that really stand out. And by no means do you need to read all of this. There isn't a quiz at the end. Don't worry about that part. But what do we have here? We have words that are very powerful. The items that I have bolded here: empower, support, full, productive, enhance, like give a voice, assisting, fulfilling, advocacy, which is a cornerstone along with empowerment with the ARC of New Jersey and the New Jersey Self-Advocacy Project. And down again at the very bottom, advocacy, empowerment, education. There are many, many agencies in our great state of New Jersey who do in fact offer the same services that we provide at the ARC of Union County. Are they all handled the exact same? No. I learned that in my travels to, between a few agencies, a few ARC, some not, is that there is a common value. The common values are targeted and make sure that we target the folks who we provide the services to and for. Because in the end, folks, and this is directly aimed at my friends who are staff, DSPs, Without our individuals, we're not having the jobs that we have. And it's going to take a little moment to process that. But in the end, you'll think about it and you'll see that I'm right. We are here for them. And it's a wonderful relationship, I think, in my history, because, we're here for them, but they're here for us. So it's a nice exchange. Over the decades, we've established many different agencies throughout the state, even throughout the country. For those of you not aware, the ARC is a national agency. It's not just New Jersey that it's exclusive to, but it stretches from East Coast to West Coast. And mission statements may be different, but again, I wanted to focus on the common values that are shared between agencies. So let's break those down. I already mentioned a few: empower, advocacy, and yes, our mission is possible, not impossible. It is possible. So let's continue. One of the words that were bolded: empowerment. What is it? Empowerment is the process of giving a group of people more freedom or rights. Advocacy. Advocacy is acting with or on behalf of an individual or group to do what? Resolve an issue, obtain a needed support or service, promote or change in the practices, policies, procedures, behaviors, or third parties, promoting and protecting the civil and human rights of the people. So at the very bottom line of the slide says, give a voice to individuals striving to create a world where everyone can lead a fulfilling life as part of the greater community. So let's break that down. What do we want? Just we as people, right? We want to be what? We want to be included. Inclusion, we know that word. It's always something as part of our maybe daily conversation, if not something we see, whether in social media or where have you. It doesn't matter what group or groups we're talking about. People need other people. And as many of you might think after hearing me say people need other people, you're like, I'm doing fine just on my own. That may be true. But in the end, cell phones, TVs, cars, those are just things. But in the end, we need each other. And the supports that we provide for one another are priceless. Think about it. I am directing this to my friends who are working in this field, my DSP friends, direct support professionals. Think about this question, yes or no. How did you find out about this job? Was it someone who told you about it? Did they say, hey, I know these folks who work here, or I work there, but I had to move on? Well, that's people needing people. Marketing at its best, right? People sharing their experiences with other people and saying, hey, here's how it goes. Sure. I understand. We have things on the internet like Indeed, right? Things that help us look for jobs. I understand as well. But there are a lot of people who still like to find out about jobs and say, hey, is it the right fit for me? Okay. I told you earlier that I've been a part of about 3 other agencies. There was a time when I did not work in the field and I returned, and that was a completely different type of field for me, although I was doing some training. That's a story for another day. But in the end, even there, I found the value of people needing people. We're going to break down advocacy a little more and how it really works, and some of the things that you may not realize had an influence as was worked behind the scenes by our friends at not only the ARC of New Jersey, but Ashley and her team over at the New Jersey Self-Advocacy Project. Okay, so our mission, when you see it around the building in your administrative office as part of your agency, it is possible. It is possible, and it's never ending because we're always striving for a better environment and community. So that was our courtesy. Professionalism. The state or practice, pardon me, I'm doing a good job with skill, competence, and courtesy. If you take a look at this intersection, right, we look at our intersection here, what do we have? We have an intersection of respect, ethics, integrity, and honesty. Okay, great. All words we all know, all words that we may use every day, we may speak of every day or not. But when, if this poll had a word on it, it would be, professionalism, right? Why? Because all those things come together. Well, Paul, I'm not a professional. Of course you are. You're a professional because you get paid to do something. Okay, you're not a volunteer. For you, again, my friends who are DSPs and who work for your respective agencies and get paid, you are a professional. So in the end, we know as people who have a responsibility not only to the agency but to the individuals, professionalism is in fact at the top of our list of our daily type of responsibilities. When I first started in this field many years ago, someone in a training class, actually who was a trainer, told me, he said, Paul, this field isn't for everyone. And I thought to myself, that's odd. He doesn't know me. I've been here only a month. Why would he say that to me? I took it a little personal, thinking that at my ripe age or whatever, I think I was 23 or 24 years old, I thought he doesn't think I can do this. Without explaining, it took me many years to figure out what he meant. And that statement is actually true for many walks of life. He said, this isn't for everyone. Okay. And he ended his statement with, you have 10 people in your class today who are all new hires. He goes, let's go back in a year and see who's left. I followed up on him about a year later. I said, Bill, you said something to me last year. Can we go back and see? Of the 10 people, the 10 new hires in my class the year prior, only 5 were still with the agency. Now, there are many reasons why people leave jobs, right? More money, they move, different opportunities, whatever the case is. But I thought it was interesting that he was spot on about it. And then he went on to explain to me that this is a unique experience for us. He didn't say unique job, he said experience. And right there, he had my attention. And then he went on, and I won't bore you with the details, but he went on to say that, it takes a unique type of personality and person to do this. At the same time, the people person that I'm talking about needs to be professional. So it's a very delicate balance of what is expected from us as a professional in this field. But as you can see, under the definition of professionalism is already something we talked about at the very beginning of this, which is courtesy. Let's continue. So, who are you? Which one of these things are you? Are you a caretaker or are you a caregiver? Now, while you're thinking about it, we do have a poll that you can participate in, and it's going to ask you that exact question, which one you are. And all you have to do is click on one and then submit, and we'll see what the audience feels is the best fit, whether they are a caretaker or they are a caregiver. Okay, so if we could take a moment to post the poll, and we can pull our results as that goes. Is that available for us, Ashley and Frankie?
Yes, the option to unleash the poll should be on the bottom of your Zoom box. There we go.
Yes, there we go. Okay, folks. Wonderful, thank you. Yes, and just we'll go over them in just a moment. But yes, take a moment to choose. Probably the most difficult question you have today, I hope, aside from what's for dinner. But I'm sure that's an easier choice. Okay, I'll give another 10 seconds for anyone else who would like to answer. Okay. All right, thank you, everyone. So I'm going to share the results. It's anonymous, so I know you didn't have to put your name there, but we'll share some results with everyone and just take a look. So what you can see here is that most of the audience considers themselves a caregiver rather than a caretaker. So, okay, Paul, stop talking about it. Let's discuss what the difference is. Okay, let's do that. So my next slide shares what we're talking about and the difference between caretaking and caregiving. Okay, so I'll start with the box in the middle that lists some feelings about caretaking. Caretaking feels stressful, exhausting, and frustrating. Caretaking crosses boundaries. Caretakers worry. Caretakers trust others' abilities to care for themselves. Whereas on the other side, we have caregiving. Feels right and feels like love. It re-energizes and inspires you. Caregiving honors boundaries. Caregivers take action and solve problems. Caregivers trust others enough to allow them to activate their own inner guidance and problem-solving capabilities. So there's a fine line here. Let's not, pull punches here. There's a fine line between the two. The two items in the caretaking box that really stand out to me. Caretaking crosses boundaries. Well, if you are supporting someone and you start crossing boundaries, it gives me the feeling that there's less respect of their feelings, wants, and needs, and that me as the caretaker, is just going to go and do it because it needs to be taken care of. Okay. The other is caretakers. When caretakers worry that something needs to be done, extra stress is put upon them. When stress is put upon us, we as individuals, we handle stress in different ways. But caretaking shouldn't be a stressful matter. And when it does not, or is no longer a stressful manner, and it's shaped and formed into something more supportive, then it's caregiving, and that's the action. So you could take the words and switch them. You could take care or give care, but I don't mean to get caught up in words. But there is something that was taught to me a long time ago, and I carry it with me. And then when I started to work in this field, and then eventually start to train, it's something that I've used many times in my training classes. And when I show it to you, you're going to say, I do know that, Paul. It does sound familiar, but we're going to break that down because it means more than just what it does on the surface. So keep your caregiving feeling in mind, that angle of what is the best approach, and also the difference between caregiving and caretaking. So here's that saying that has followed me for many, many a year. When we're talking about being a caregiver, here's our quote. Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. So right off the bat, my initial feeling is like, of course, sure, you teach him how to find his food and cook his food, everything is great. But it's more than just about food, right? It's about nourishing, right? Nourishing someone's, obviously for food, yeah, sure. But what about their soul, their spirit, right? Themselves, who they are. Making them grow as opposed to just, here you go, I made food for you. And I know you're going to break that down, especially, again, my folks, my close fraternity of people who have worked in direct care. It's not easy. What we need to remind ourselves is, yeah, I know how to do X, Y, and Z. I've done it all my life. You've done it all your life your way. Sometimes your way isn't the way. And when we realize that there are different ways, things become less frustrating. We opened our minds more to realize that, hey, there is a different way. There is a different way to do this. I'm going to turn to my coworker and ask about his or her opinion, 2 cents, as they say. Something that I've carried with me along with this phrase, when I was working in my first experience working in this field was working in day programs and then residential and so on and so forth. One of the things that really got me through it was something taught to me many years ago in my first few months working in a day program. And I'm going to call it the power of yet. Okay. The power of yet. Yes. Y-E-T. Like, we haven't gotten to that yet. We haven't done that yet. That's what I mean. Y-E-T. What is the power of yet? Well, you could say that, or I could say that I'm teaching someone something. And then someone comes along, Ashley asks me, hey, how's Charlie doing with that skill? I could say he hasn't learned it. Period. Or I could say he hasn't learned it yet. Have we reached that goal? No. Have we reached that goal? We haven't reached it yet. What does yet do? Yet encourages us, keeps us motivated to continue to work on whatever it is that needs to be worked on. If you say, no, he can't do it. Nope, she's failing. If you say, you know, we're working on it, he's getting there. He can't do it yet, but have you finished that? Not yet, meaning you're still working. It's a work in progress. And every day, folks, that we come to program, okay, we attend program or staff, you clock in, is a new opportunity, a brand new opportunity for us to improve ourselves, our individuals, empower them, advocate for them, all of these things. Every day you get an opportunity to do this, okay? You work 5 days a week, every time you clock in. And that doesn't mean just once per day. You'll have many opportunities. But what we need to understand and accept, more than understand, is accept that our minds need to be open to the different, ways things are accepted, ways and manners things are learned and taught. And if you do that, you'll find that your job becomes easier and your relationships become a lot stronger with those you serve and you support. Okay. So again, I'm pretty sure this quote's going to follow me for the remainder of my work years, if even past that. But it is something, and I like to sit on it so you can absorb it. I'm sure you've heard it before. There are many, one word here or there. This proverb is only kind of tipped out, but I think we get the gist of what this means and how it really connects with what we do on an everyday basis. Okay, so let's continue. So when we're, advocating and empowering our individuals with whatever, it may be a cause, or just maybe something closer to home, something a little more, in their home, or maybe even a little further out of their home, maybe in the community, maybe in the state, maybe in their country. What is it that, we're really looking for? I couldn't help but include some dear friends in this next slide. So I know I had mentioned advocacy earlier. In the pictures here, you see two pictures. On the left, we have one of our individuals at the Arc of Union County. His name is Derek. And Derek's on a voting machine. And I'll get back to that in a moment. The picture to the right was the Self-Advocacy Conference, the Spring Self-Advocacy Conference, where I was awarded Advisor of the Year. Thank you very much. But the two ladies in the picture are very important to me, not only in my professional life, but from an advocacy point of view as well. So let's go back to Derek. In a conversation during our self-advocacy meeting at the Arc of Union County, Derek had joined the meeting. He was new to our agency many years ago, and he just like, hey, what's this all about? What do we do here? What do we talk about? So he listened, and he heard a lot of people talking about, getting jobs and wanting things and asking about, can we do this? Can we do that? After the meeting, he said he's never been part of a group like that, where they could say what they want and understand that, yeah, not everyone gets what they want or need, but at the same time, we can share, we can say what we want. And he said, Paul, I found that there are people in that group who have the same feelings as I did about certain things. So I said, Derek, that's what it's about. We meet to talk about things. I'm your advisor. I'm not in charge of the group. I just support the group. So whatever it is we bring, we bring. Then, and before we actually, disbanded the meeting, broke up, he had mentioned voting. And he said, I've never voted before. And I said, okay. He said, I was told I can't. And without going into great detail why him saying why he can't, I said, you are allowed to. And I brought him over to the computer and I looked up all the things that you need to vote in the state of New Jersey, just to be a voter. And we went down the list. And he said, well, I'm that. I'm older than 18. I am a citizen. And then he looked at me and I said, well, there you go. And he goes, well, what else? I said, well, you have to register. And he goes, oh, I knew there was something else. This is going to be so difficult. I said, no, it's not. We got him registered. And then he said, what do I do next? So actually, through our friends at New Jersey Self-Advocacy Project, the machine you see Derek working on is something that was brought to our facility in Springfield, New Jersey. And if you look really close, I know we're doing this virtually, but if you look really close, Derek is, with the assistance of someone from the Union County Board of Elections, he's actually placing a vote for his favorite flavor of ice cream. Okay, so this is our practice on how the process goes on election day. So as a registered voter, we were able to request that the Union County Board of Elections come in with staff and mock machines, which is what you see Derek using there, that he show him that he could vote. Now, it was, I really went deep into our files of pictures to look for his reaction after he was able to vote. And the smile on his face was priceless. And, till this day, as a registered voter, he looks forward to his opportunity when he gets to vote. He's learning that people do have a voice. And as he's a very close watcher of news channels while, at home, he is also finding that people do have a voice, people can vote on things, and those votes can lead to change, which brings me to our ladies on the right. On the left of the picture, we have Renee. On the right in the glasses is Carol. These ladies do not attend my agency, the Arc of Union County. They are part of a different agency, but a neighboring agency nonetheless. But I have them included in this presentation to let you know how important they are to me. When I was first given the directive by a supervisor all those years ago, when I was 24 or 25, Paul, you need to start up the self-advocacy. It's something we'd like for you to eventually take over. Please go and attend a meeting. I had no idea what it was, none, zero. Now, I've already been working in the field for about 3 years, but I was never part of anything dealing with self-advocacy or a self-advocacy project. So when I arrived at the program, there were staff there and I knew the staff, and there was a chair right in between Carol and Renee, similar to the position you see me in the picture. And I sat down and I said, ladies, excuse me, may I sit here? And they were more than welcome. Right, yes. And I told them, full disclosure, folks, this is what I said to them. I said, ladies, this is my first time here. I know nothing about self-advocacy. How many notes should I take? What should I do? When do I say something? And as I went to exhale, Renee said, this is your first time? I said, yes. She goes, listen. Carol said, listen. So I sat there and I listened. An hour later, I was a richer person. I was a richer, more fulfilled staff person. And boy, was I ready to take on this self-advocacy thing. But before I left, I took a moment to say thank you to both Carol and Renee. And Renee stopped me and said, don't thank me because we're not done. We have work to do. That's what this is about. Advocacy is sharing, advocacy is empowering, advocacy is making things happen. And now all those years later, and it's around 25 years later, folks, I still speak to them, albeit virtual, but they're still very close to my self-advocacy heart and my real heart. So I had to include them in this with much respect. So when I see and talk to them again, I will make sure that they understand that they are important to the cause, myself, and the movement. But Does it really work? Does advocacy really work? Does speaking up for yourself, does saying you want something, you want to see a change, this should be done because it's only right, does it really work? There are a lot of people who don't believe that it does, that their voice kind of falls on deaf ears. Well, gotta tell you, for that person who's a non-believer, take a look at my next screen. So I don't want you to read the entire thing, but I felt the need to make sure that I captured my entire point on this slide. So what you're looking at is a message from back in 2019, okay? The message is from Valerie Sellers. She is the CEO at NJSAP, the New Jersey Coalition, for DSP wages, was on the ballot to wage increase. So wage increase for, yes, for the DSPs that are listening to my voice now. You may be aware that fairly recently there was a wage increase, a very long, mind you, very long overdue wage increase for our DSPs. So let me pull out some of the items here that I bolded and made larger. So from Valerie's statement, it says, you did it. Advocacy supported a wage increase for direct support professionals starting the fiscal year 2020 budget. Well, my goodness. Everybody cheers, everybody cheers. Who was cheering the loudest? The people who backed this movement. Sure, of course, we as DSP workers who have been working in this field and feel like we need to be properly compensated. We're also, the cheerleaders, but there's a movement, there's a backing, and more so, those individuals who wrote to their local legislator, wrote to the state, wrote to the legislators in Trenton, attended state budget committee meetings, as I've seen Ashley and her team attend many a time. Attend on a very rainy day outside of the state capitol, a march, if you will, at the state capitol demanding higher wages for our DSPs. Well, here it is. I guess advocacy does work. And I don't necessarily mean just on our level, meaning in our field. We know that there's many things. Just to bring something current event-wise, tomorrow, I believe it is, no more plastic bags, okay? So was that something that was handed down by one person? No, that was something that was voted upon. So whether or not it was voted upon by, 90% of the New Jerseyans no longer want the plastic bags, or, 70%, it was something that was voted upon, and that's a voice. Your vote is a voice that led to that legislation. So here we are, okay? Just to continue, on the screen here, there was a wage increase, all right? As a direct result of the advocacy. Sure, again, DSPs can request through their supervisors or agencies that they need a raise, but in the end, there wasn't a wage increase for DSPs for a considerable amount of time in the past, up until the budget year of fiscal 2020, okay? The line at the bottom reads, only together will we be able to achieve. That is something that I probably should have put on a footer on every single one of these slides. Only together will we be able to achieve. So what's that mean? Paul, everybody has a different opinion. I get that, agreed. And that's actually a beautiful thing that everyone has a different opinion, because that's what makes, the world go round, right? But in the end, what do we find? We find that when we speak to one another, there are things that we don't agree on, but there are things that we do. And when we find the things that we do, then we can speak and support them and move them forward and advocate for those, for us, for our friends, for our families. So I am a firm believer, perhaps, and full disclosure, perhaps not a firm believer before I started working in this field, but having seen a lot of my friends, and I will call them friends, even though they are individuals as part of agencies and individuals served, I have established relationships with them. I've seen them, I've heard them. And I'm very proud. And even though, and these folks will tell you, and I hope you run into these people that I speak about, the Carol and the Renees of the world, because you know what, for every achievement, there's probably 3 or 4 or 5 failures, but that's okay. Because the mission is to keep trying, is to keep going. To what? To advocate for ourselves. You don't just give up and finish. You're not just, I'm never gonna try again. You gotta keep plugging away at it. A voice is only a voice if it can be heard. And the voice will get louder when there's more of them. So what am I saying? If you're not part of a self-advocacy group, become part of one. Maybe even do what I did, sit in on one, come on in and sit down. I'm part of council too, as part of the New Jersey Self-Advocacy Project. There are other councils throughout the state. If you're joining us from a different area state, we can share that with you later, depending on what agency and what area in New Jersey you're from. So please, absolutely. And listen, in this day and age, we're still holding our meetings virtually. So you can do it from the comfort of your own home. And guess what? Sometimes people join the meetings, and I've been part of this for sure. When people join the meetings, they come, monthly, and then they stop. And then they come back. And then they say something. And then they don't come back for a month or 2. And then they come back. That's okay. That's okay. It's for you. It's your voice. And together we create the advocacy that we want to see. Be the change, as it said, right? Be the change. Be the change. And we're on to the R in CPR. So what did we have? We had courtesy, we had professionalism, and now we have respect. Just so you know, there are many images on the internet that deal with respect. I really narrowed it down to something as simple as what you're looking at here. Another element that we were taught or was instilled in us while we were very young, and it has grown in us. We have developed it, and now we are sharing it with others, maybe family members, children, loved ones, and whatever, but also our coworkers and peers. My mother used to say it best: in order to, get respect, you gotta give respect. And as easy as that is, sometimes it's a little subjective, meaning what some people look at as respect is not necessarily the same as your neighbor or your sister or your brother or your best friend, okay? But what is the definition of respect? It is a regard for the feelings, wishes, or rights of others. Okay, you may not have, right? Going back to advocacy, you may not have a common feeling or want or need as your neighbor or your friend or the same person that you attend program with or someone who you live in the group home with. But we need to respect that. We can say, I understand that. Would you like to know my side? And now you're sharing your feelings. And now it's a mutual type of respect. So it's a give and a take. It's a give and get. It's a give and get. And maybe in there, in that exchange, we find out a little bit of something that maybe we didn't know, which now opens our mind up to something else, which, going a few slides back, can now start to mold what is dear to us, what is important to not, when I say us, I mean myself and those in my community, those in my group home, those in my town, etc. Okay, so continuing with respect. What is respectful? I've reused this slide, full disclosure. If you attended the presentation I did back, I think it was 2019, at the fall conference, I used this slide, and I got so many thumbs up on this slide, I had to reuse it. So this is a recycled slide. So what is respectful or being respectful? Let's break up the word. Let's break it up. Respectful, what is it? Go back again, redo it, repeat, right? Look at it, examine, spectacles, right? Like the spectacles or the glasses the dog's wearing. A spectator, you're examining, you're looking at, you're watching. Full, quantity of substance, beautiful, plentiful, right? So we take a moment to look back, really examine what is being shared with us, said to us, shown to us, right? And have that amount of respect for the person sharing it with you, for that group, for what is read, and then say, okay, I understand. Yes, here's my view. Here it is. And we're sharing. I realize we live in a very interesting climate now, not only political, but also as we're starting to turn the corner on COVID, there are a lot of opinions, beliefs, and others. And it is important to share feelings. But remember, when we share, it's more important to be respectful of other feelings, because you would want that same respect in return, going back to my little cycle of give and get. So when you hear things, and I have to stop myself, and my wife does a very good job of doing this. I'm a rather emotional person sometimes. When something comes to me and it kind of makes me do this, and I don't understand it, I tend to get the volume up and get a little emotional. And my wife will say, but wait, is it this? So she'll ask, and now I have to process the question. Is it this? Do you think? And now I have to exhale and really think about it. How does that work with you every day? Well, maybe you're sitting at the lunch table and you hear some things that you don't necessarily believe in. Okay, and you're sitting there, you're trying to get your lunch and you're like, oh my gosh, this is too much for me. Could you say something? Sure. Could you not? You can. That's your choice. Well, Paul, what if I wanted to say something if I didn't want to offend? I've been a part of a conversation where I have said, would you like to hear a different view? And the response to me was, is it yours? And I said, not entirely. I made a friend in that. Didn't think I would. Very delicate conversation that we had. But my question to him, when I started to hear a lot of things that were kind of making me shake my head a little bit, I said, would you like to hear a different angle on that? Not mine. I didn't say mine. I said a different angle. So the truth is, most of it was mine. But the point is that I respectfully asked him, and he said yes. And sure enough, you know, all these years later, we're very good acquaintances. I wouldn't necessarily call him a friend, but, you know, he's a work acquaintance. And in the end, he did say to me one day, I really appreciate what you said to me in the first time we met. It made me look at things a little differently. And I said, that's fine. He goes, I'm not changing my view. I said, I'm not asking you to change your view. I asked, you know, if you wanted a different angle or opinion on it. Again, it's a very difficult and interesting time, you know, politically, and, you know, as far as issues and world issues and all of that. But you and I can do our best to be respectful in giving and receiving and sharing that information that comes to us. So next. How is the normal routine important? Okay, I know I was talking about courtesy, professionalism, and respect. But how does the normal routine fit into CPR? How does the normal routine fit into courtesy, professionalism, and respect? Well, I'm going to go back to when I first started in this field. And what was told to me is, hey, Paul, welcome to this day program. Here's what happens. People started coming in around 8:45. And we get into groups, and this group does exercise, and this one does this, and if it's a nice day, we go outside, and da-da-da. And then it's snack time, and then there's lunch, and there's medication, da-da, blah, 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 blah. And that's the routine. That was the schedule, okay? What I came to learn is the normal routine exists in all of us, not just at a day program, not just at a group home, but in all of us. Now, we don't call it the normal routine. If, you know, I see Ashley or Frankie at the end of the day and I go, hey, how was your day? They're gonna be like, oh, what a day. I don't say, hey, how was your normal routine? No, we don't say that. You know, Ashley, how was your day? Oh, let me tell you. Oh, let me tell you what happened today, okay? Usually it starts off with, the day started off really strange. Here's what happened. Sometimes the alarm doesn't get us up. Sometimes we don't wake up when we normally, quote unquote, do, right? So how does that mess up your routine? Well, if you have everything kind of planned 10 minutes increment, or you take 25 minutes to have your breakfast, but you woke up late, you're going to condense a lot of things. Maybe you're not taking your time with a lot of things. And what does that do to you? Pardon me, not just to you, to anyone, including myself. It may make you a little anxious. It may make you feel a little imbalanced. It may make you like, oh my God, I got to get through this. We all have a normal routine. Now, I know I said earlier that, the alarm wakes us up, which gives you the indication, how does the day start? But it could just be, maybe you work the mid shift at a group home, 3 to 11. Maybe you're not waking up at 7 a.m. like many people do who work a regular type of 9 to 5 thing. But it doesn't matter whether it's the alarm clock waking you up at 7 a.m. or you work the mid shift and you're doing 3 to 11, you still have a schedule. You have a normal routine. You know what time and how long it takes for you to get ready. You know how long it takes for you to drive in these wonderful traffic-filled roads that we have in lovely New Jersey. You know exactly how long that takes. And we try and carve that out. Many of you folks listen to me, have children. You take them to school. And you like to know, like, for example, we're ending one school year now. You have children who are going to another school. That's going to change your normal routine. Why? Because the school time starts differently. And if you have other children, you're going to have to balance out who goes to dropped off first, who gets picked up, who's taking the bus, who's walking, all of that. Every single one of us have a normal routine. And sometimes something as simple as your alarm on your phone not going off when it was supposed to interrupts your normal routine. Could be. Or maybe it's something a little larger or bigger or greater than that. How has your normal routine changed in 2020 and 2021? Yeah, I think a main reason why we're doing this webinar virtually is because of that change that occurred that affected the world, not just one person. In the beginning, many people were scared, myself included, and it's okay. Why? Oh, because, Paul, it's one of those things where I'm not really sure what's going to happen, and that's why I'm scared. Okay, this is true. But what's the bigger reason? Well, the bigger reason is because our routine was changed. Our routine was changed. Here comes this pandemic. I remember being told about this pandemic early January of 2020. And I was like, okay. And I remember sitting with our nurses, our nursing staff, and what our actions were going to be as far as training and safety and all of that. But we know how that went, okay? Our routine was interrupted. And to be honest, we're not completely back to that quote unquote normal routine. But there was anxiety, there was fear. We didn't feel safe. The normal routine allows us to feel safe. If we follow a routine that we create, 1, that best fits our schedule, 2, we feel safe. What do I mean by safe? Oh, everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. Well, let's look at the next slide so I can better explain it to you. When we have a normal routine and we follow a normal routine, we feel safe. If you take the first letter of each of the words, it makes safe, right? If you look at my list here, what does a normal routine allow for people to do? So the normal routine allows people to stay on schedule, accomplish tasks, feel secure, organized, and in control, and establish a usual way of doing things. I know we have these. I know we have calendars and planners in our phone. I still am a little bit old-fashioned. I still use the planners and I jot them down, albeit in pencil because, things change. But, the feeling you get from when things happen, some people want to make sure that, for example, Mother's Day is Sunday. Oh, when is Mother's Day? You were asking weeks ago. We have to schedule around this. When is Father's Day? When is this person's birthday? That's a routine because you're trying to find a schedule that works best for you. Sometimes when you go about doing things, you accomplish tasks, you write a list of things that you need to do, your to-do list, so you can turn it into a to-done list. Feel secure, organized, and in control. When you create, you form the schedule, the time to go here, this happens, lunch happens, dinner happens, we go here on this day, every Tuesday we do that. You feel like, hey, yeah, this is good. I'm looking forward to it. And because it's not like, let's just go now, we're doing that day. When things happen erratically and a lot more rapidly, we don't feel like we have control of what's going on around us. And E, establish. Establish what? A usual way of doing things. Our good friends here at the New Jersey Self-Advocacy Project have been offering us, and I know many of you attended it, as have I, these workshops on Tuesdays and Wednesdays since COVID happened, right? And although it wasn't the true meaning of in person, it was still offered to us. And for the mere fact that it was still offered to us, and still now and then and now continually, something to look forward to. This is done on Tuesdays. This is done on Wednesdays. We have Council 2 meetings on this Thursday, other one. We do this. They still holding the conference. Those things aren't going away. And the questions now are, when do we get to see each other again? That's the question now, not when are we going to do it? So slowly, folks, we're turning the corner and we're going to do it together. But as much as you can on an everyday basis, do your best to try and maintain a normal routine. If you do that, you're going to feel safe. And again, listen, I understand that weather plays a factor in your normal routine. I also understand the traffic, if we're driving to work or our activities or wherever we go, also plays a role in our normal routine. But we do our best. And if you still watch the news, because many people don't, I'm finding, is what? They show us the weather and the traffic every 7 minutes, right? There's always someone in a helicopter flying over the turnpike or Route 22, and also the weather person who's telling us about what to expect. And why is that? Because they want to let us know in case we need to modify our normal routine. Oh, it's going to snow? Oh, well, I got to leave a little earlier tomorrow because I got to clean the cars, and then everybody drives slower, so it's going to take me longer to get to work, and like that. Okay? So again, I'm sure you have a normal routine, but please do your best to try and stick to as much as you can. And as we're moving forward and starting to cross fingers, turn the corner here on COVID, perhaps we can get back to the pre-COVID normal routine of yesteryear. So we'll see how that works. But again, do your best to maintain a normal routine, and you'll see that we can avoid any type of crises or crisis that could occur in your home or with your friends or your family or just in general. We don't like crisis that usually occurs when we have a deviation in a normal routine. Okay. So again, I'm not a big fan of the word normal, but that's okay. But it really does allow us to feel safe. If we follow the normal routine, we can avoid any type of crisis or someone feeling anxious, upset because they're late to something, they're going to miss something. When we can follow a normal routine, we feel comfort in the routine. We know what's going on. This happens every day at X time. We do this every other Tuesday. This happens then. Council 2 is this. All of that. We feel comfortable because we have a schedule. We feel safe because we have a normal routine. All right. So with that, I say, practice your CPR, our courtesy, professionalism, and respect. And obviously, yes, with this slide here, continue following your normal routine. And hey, there might be a time when you need to kind of change it up a little bit because, things change. Maybe you've took on a new hobby or activity or new friends and you need to fit them in. Make room for happy whenever you can. Okay, folks? So I want to say, don't forget to practice your CPR. I also want to say thank you very much for your time. And if you do have any questions, comments, I'm here. But it is absolutely a pleasure and an honor to be able to share my experience and information that I've shared with everyone today. So again, I thank you so much. And I do want to extend my thanks again to Frankie, Ashley, and the entire crew at the New Jersey Self-Advocacy Project. So thank you, folks, for your time. It has been an honor.
Thank you, Paul. This was wonderful. We truly appreciate you taking the time to share your experience with the group. And thank you all for being here for another installment of the Stay Healthy at Home webinar series. We are here every Tuesday from 2 to 3 on Zoom, so you can find all of the information and registration for the upcoming sessions on our website, njselfadvocacyproject.org. Thank you all again, and we hope to see you again soon. Take care.
Thank you.